The Centurion's Discipline, a Stoic parable from the edge of the Roman Empire. The wind howled across the northern frontier of Rome. Snow drifted over the stone walls of the outpost at Vindobona, what would one day become Vienna. There, stationed far from the glory of the Senate or the whispers of the Forum, served a Roman centurion named Lucius Varus. He commanded a cohort of 80 men, hardened veterans and impatient recruits, stationed to guard the empire's reach against barbarian raids. But Lucius was no ordinary officer. Unlike most, he never beat his men. He never shouted in rage. He did not drink, did not boast, and did not flinch when insulted. He led by example, and silence, and self-mastery. One bitter morning, a scout galloped in with grim news. A Germanic warband was crossing the Danube, headed toward a nearby village under Roman protection. The men scrambled. Weapons were sharpened. Some soldiers grumbled. One younger legionary muttered loud enough for others to hear. "Old Varus is soft. We need a real commander, one who punishes weakness with fire." Lucius heard it. He said nothing. He simply handed the boy a sharpened gladius. "Then you'll take the front." They marched out before sunrise, snow up to their shins, breath like smoke. Wolves howling in the forests nearby. At the edge of the forest, they spotted the smoke of burning huts. The village was already under attack. Lucius raised one hand, stopping the cohort. He studied the terrain. His second-in-command, Marcus, whispered, "We should charge." Lucius shook his head. Courage without discipline is suicide. He waited, listened, then flanked. They struck not from the front, but from behind the enemy lines. What followed was a swift and efficient assault. Roman shields locked tight, movement precise. Not rage, only rhythm. They drove the raiders out without losing a single man. When the battle was done, the young soldier who had insulted Lucius dropped to one knee. "I was wrong. You fight like a man possessed." Lucius lifted him up gently. "No, I fight like a man in control." That night, as they returned to the outpost, Marcus asked him, "Why didn't you punish the boy?" Lucius replied, "Because anger is a poor teacher. Pain fades, shame burns, discipline endures." Lucius had not always been this way. Years ago, he had fought under a brutal general in Judea. He had seen villages burned for sport. Men flayed for hesitation. He had struck first and thought later. But then one day, after witnessing the massacre of innocents, he walked away from the violence. He studied philosophy. He found the writings of Seneca and Epictetus. One quote stayed with him. "No man is free who is not master of himself." From then on, he made a vow. No more blind fury. No more drunken vengeance. No more being ruled by the moment. He would lead with reason, not wrath. His men began to change too. They fought not out of fear, but out of honor. They trained harder, not because he yelled, but because he inspired. His outpost became known not for its violence, but for its order. Merchants passed through safely. Local tribes respected the walls. His men were healthier, stronger, calmer. One spring, a visiting general arrived and watched a training session. He was surprised to find soldiers laughing, focused, clean and proud. He asked Lucius, "Why do they not fear you?" Lucius responded, "Because they respect themselves." Years passed. War came again. Lucius grew older. His beard grayed. His step slowed. One final winter, he was summoned to Rome. Word had spread of his leadership. The emperor, now Marcus Aurelius himself, wanted to meet the centurion whose discipline rivaled that of a philosopher. In a quiet chamber, far from the noise of the legions, Marcus spoke with Lucius. "They say you conquered more by patience than by steel." Lucius bowed. "Steel rusts, patience sharpens." Marcus smiled. "Would you teach others?" Lucius agreed. He retired from battle, but not from duty. He began writing letters, teaching young officers, sharing lessons not of war, but of the mind that leads war. In one such letter he wrote, "The wildest soldier fears the man who does not rise to insult, who smiles at slander, who stands calm in a storm. That man is untouchable." Stoic lesson. Lucius Varus teaches us that discipline is not force, it is restraint. He reminds us that a true leader does not rule others, he rules himself. Reaction is weakness, response is power. The man who pauses, who breathes, who observes, who waits, often wins not just battles but hearts. The Stoic path is not loud, not savage, not showy. It is quiet precision. Like a sword never drawn unless needed, like a fire kept warm, never wild. In a world where fury is glorified, as Lucius Varus proved on the frozen frontier, the strongest hand is the one that does not tremble, even when it holds a sword.